We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Perspectives Corner. I am your host, Rhona Robbins. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Welcome. Tonight, we are going to be talking about manifesting your destiny. Just so you know, I just came off of a 10-day juice fast. Whoa! So big for me. I know for some people, it's a drop in the bucket, but for me, it was a big old wallop in the bucket. I got so hungry on day 9, it was crazy. If you want to check out my documented journey with juicing, you can follow me on YouTube or just check into the channel at Rhona Bennett and see, I think I did day 1, day 3, day 5, day 7, day 9, and of course, my completion today. So that was exciting. So tonight, we are going to be listening to 2 prolific teachers when it comes to this subject matter. We are going to Awaken the Giant Within with Tony Robbins. Now, we won't get an opportunity to hear the whole recording with Tony because this is a long CD. And if you think that it's going to be wonderful for your library, I highly encourage you to pick it up. But we will listen to about a half hour of it and get some good principles in your body, tuck them into your system, and hopefully you will put them to use. But we're going to start the show with another teacher that I have gotten a lot of great knowledge nuggets from. And this is Stephen R. Covey. He is the coach behind the best-selling book, The 7 highly successful people, the 7 habits of highly successful people. He has since, or later, because he is now passed, but he made the 8th habit after the success of his first book. And this is, it says, From Effectiveness to Greatness. And I decided to start on the 2nd CD of this series because he talks about birth gifts and what is it? Is it emotional EQ? So he kind of recaps, say it again, elements of EQ. Okay, the elements of EQ. And he kind of recaps what the 7 habits are, and then he cushions it with the 8th habit. You don't want to miss it. It's some really thought-provoking stuff. And if you have a pen and a paper, or if you're in front of your iPad, or you're in front of your computer, write some of this stuff down. Don't let it pass you by. And take this stuff and use it. Let it stop you from procrastinating. Dream killer. Dream killer. So listen to these teachers, enjoy these teachers. If you have any questions for me, if you want to chime in with something that you think would be useful to add to this show, please hit me up at 323-247-7443 when we come off of the break. But go ahead and let the audio play through, get what you can from it, and then when we come off of the half-hour break, if you have a question for me or you just want to make a deposit in the show, be my guest. 323-247-7443. Okay, Richard. What song do we have on deck to inspire the people? You know I like to start the show with a song to kind of set the tone and put us in a certain space to receive what we're about to get. So let's see what he decided to play. Of course. One of my favorite independent artists that have been featured on this show, Kelly Nicole, Pushin'.
Feels like this road will never end. Seems as if I'll never win. Stuck in space and time. Out here alone, without a friend. The bad seems to become a trend. A cruel world is never kind. Wishing it could be different. Give life a new meaning. 'Cause lately things have been kind of depressing. Wishing things were good somehow, but I can't give up now. I may be down, but I'm not out. I gotta keep pushing past this moment. Focus, building on what I I'm here on the brink of a new day. I'm switching up the pace, and I'm gonna be me. 'Cause everything is so different. Life has a new meaning, and I'm gonna start again, be who I am. See, everything has changed somehow, and I can't give up now. I may be down, but I'm not down. No, pushing past this moment, focus, building on what I believe in. What I believe in. I am scratching the surface, and I know that I am worth it. All I need is hope. In a world that's sometimes cold, I gotta be strong. Hope begins with me, but I gotta believe I'm worth what I need. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotta push away, yeah, every day, build toward the place that is mine. Though I am not perfect, I'm only human, scratching the surface, and I am worth it all. I gotta keep pushing past this moment, focus, building on what I believe. What I believe in. I'm not perfect. I am scratching the surface, and I know that I am worth it.
You can't tell I love this song. Y'all can't tell I love that song. I love that song. Man, I always said I wish I wrote that because it would just be the most awesome theme song for Perspectives Corner. Gotta keep pushing. Kelly Nicole, beautiful voice. She's not the only songwriter on it, but beautiful lyrics and just a wonderful all-around song in my humble opinion. So shout out to her. Yeah. Welcome back to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. Tonight we are talking about manifesting your destiny, and we will be listening to two prolific teachers to tell us all about it. First, we are going to start with Stephen R. Covey. He is the author behind the bestseller, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I listened to that recording as well, and I highly suggest that you pick it up. There are a lot of nuggets and jewels in there that can really help you take a great step towards what you want in your life, personally and professionally. And then the 8th habit is an extension of that teaching, as he calls it, like in the 3rd dimension of that teaching. And you will come to understand that a little bit better with this recording. So we're starting in the middle of the series, but I believe that you will get all you need from it. Enjoy.
And you'll find that the classic philosophy and psychology works on the assumption that people have the power of choice. That's what makes it classic. And that there are principles that operate regardless of whether we like them or not, whether we're aware of them or not. If I take a step off a 10-story building, whether I'm aware of the law of gravity or not, I will live with the consequence of that. I can't change between the 4th and 5th story and say, I don't want that consequence. These are natural laws. So those are 3 great birth gifts: choice, principles, and 4 capacities, 4 intelligences. So what's the key then? Develop all 4 through the power of choice based on principles. It's kind of like the Greek teaching of wisdom. Know thyself. Control thyself. Give thyself. You can't give, really, in other words, contribute, make a difference, add value, if you're not in control, if you don't have some self-mastery. And you also have to know yourself. You have to know your own capacities and strengths and interests and capacities and gifts and talents. But to do that, you have to pay a price. You have to use some discipline. Sometimes I use this as a metaphor. I take a match, which contains tremendous potential inside a little teeny match. It could burn down the building that you're in right now. It could burn down the house that you're in right now. Properly placed, that's the power. One little match. It also has a positive thing. If there's total blackness and darkness, that one little match could provide the light for many, many people if you could continue to keep that burning. So also with all of us. We contain enormous capability and potential, most of which has never been unleashed. It has never been called for because the industrial age model treats people like a thing. It doesn't focus on the whole person, so you don't really tap into all those capacities and intelligences. That's why it's so important to pay the price through discipline in developing these four intelligences. For instance, for the body, do you exercise regularly? All of us know we should. Do we subordinate taste to nutrition until we can re-educate the taste buds? We all know we should. In fact, if you want to know the ultimate minority control, the ultimate authoritarianism, just study the power of the taste buds. They're closest to the voice box. They control. Even though there are trillions of cells throughout the body that are just screaming out, no, no, no. Those taste buds next to the voice box are screaming out, yes, yes, yes. That's minority control. That's true authoritarianism. There's the industrial age model, command and control. They have the microphone. Do you get proper rest and relaxation? The way you manage your stress? You see, you know, all of us know really what these basic principles are of physical fitness, of developing our body and becoming vital and strong and healthy. What about our mind? Do we pay the price to keep learning, or do we watch television most of the time? This boob tube that just mesmerizes people and treats them almost like dummies. And the constant repetition of similar themes over and over again, where people get sound bites and just very little information about what really is happening. Oftentimes people do not read deeply, broadly, or if they do, they just read in the area of their own interest. They don't try to expand their interests and develop other fields. That's why the power of education is so important, because to get a general education kind of degree, you have to get into many fields you have no interest in, but it gives you an exposure and an awareness. It teaches you also to look at the underlying assumptions or paradigms of the different fields and to examine them against good data that science is continually producing to see if those paradigms are really current and accurate. I found that one of the best ways to learn is to teach. So I encourage people to teach what they are learning. In fact, I can almost ask any group, how many have learned that when you teach something, you learn it? And almost everyone raises their hands. In fact, I think one of the best things parents can do if they want to really get kids turned on to school and get off bribing them for good grades and, carrot and sticking them and getting on their backs and hovering over and checking up is to have those kids teach the parents what they are learning in each of their classes on a regular basis. You'll find that little by little, an intrinsic love of learning takes place inside kids. And that affects the whole dynamism of the family. It affects the bonding between the parents and the kids. So the use of choice and the principles of industry and education and discipline applied to reading, to learning, is so foundational. How do you develop your heart, your EQ? The eighth habit is, in a sense, the third dimension to the 7 habits. You may not be familiar with the 7 habits, but some of you might be. They're focused on becoming highly effective, which means to produce the results that you want in a way that enables you to continue to get those results and more and better. That's effectiveness. But the 8th habit deals with finding your voice and inspiring others to find theirs, which means you're moving toward real greatness, toward contribution, toward optimization, not just effectiveness. You're moving toward personal significance and fulfillment. It's as different from effectiveness as success is from significance. They're different in kind. It's not a matter of degree. It's a matter of kind. But it is based on the 7 habits. So it's like a third dimension that comes out from the 7 habits diagram, which showed all 7 based on a private victory of the first 3 habits. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, leading to the public victory of the next 3 habits. Think, win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and synergize. And then the 7th habit is like a circle that wraps around the other 6 that I call sharpen the saw, which basically means the kind of thing I'm talking about now. That is, developing the whole person, body, mind, heart, and spirit, which nurtures and encourages and reinforces the other 6 habits. Okay, then how do you develop EQ? It's a very interesting subject. You'll find this, that the data shows overwhelmingly that EQ in almost everything that a person does in life is more important than IQ. Now, I'm sure there are some jobs where IQ is more important than EQ. But the overwhelming majority of the jobs and activities, EQ is more important. And EQ is basically 2 things: self-awareness and empathy. That is, awareness of other people. You need the self-awareness because if you don't take yourself into account, you tend to project your motivations on other people, and then you operate out of your own autobiography and never really get into their head and heart. You don't really empathize. So they're very, very important. In fact, the EQ people identify essentially 5 aspects to EQ. First, self-awareness. Second, personal motivation. Third, self-regulation. Fourth, empathy. And 5th, social skills. Now, there's another thing that they teach. These things are developable. You can learn these things. But you know what? There is very, very little information on how to do it. Seriously. You study the literature. It's important. You can learn it. But very little given on it. I suggest the 7 habits is a systematic approach to developing those 5 capacities. Let me illustrate. Take the concept of self-awareness. That is the heart of the first habit, to be proactive, so that you take responsibility for your life, and so you can take initiative and get out of victimism. The second, personal motivation. That's the essence of habit 2. Begin with the end in mind, which gives you your sense of vision, your sense of what your values are, the principles you want to operate on, and also your sense of voice. That's where you get this internal motivation. Third, self-regulation. Habit 3, put first things first. In other words, once you decide what the first things are, then you execute around those first things. You do them. Most people put second things first and first things second. Often they neglect their family, their health, their integrity in the name of making money or kissing up or some other political end. Fourth, empathy. That's habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. See? Seek first to understand. That is, empathize with another. The 5th element of EQ are social skills. What is that? Habits 4, 5, and 6. Think win-win. That is, mutual benefit, mutual respect. It's the essence of the golden rule that is taught in every major world religion. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's the skill of achieving mutual understanding. First, by always listening empathically to others, and then courageously expressing how you see it. And then the 6th habit is the fruit of 4 and 5, called synergize, meaning you produce solutions that are better than what anyone has proposed. You create together in a cooperative way, not a compromise solution, Not where 1 + 1 = 1.5, but where 1 + 1 = 3 or 10. This kind of creative cooperation is the ultimate. It's the summum bonum of EQ. So I really commend the concept of the 7 habits as a very carefully developed, systematic framework for applying, by choice, the principles of developing one's emotional intelligence and capacity. Okay, what about the 4th dimension? Spiritual intelligence, spiritual capacity. What is that made up of? I suggest 3 things. First, integrity. That means living true to one's value system, to one's conscience. As I mentioned, you can never really have peace of mind, which is often the ultimate desire of people, unless you have peace of conscience. And inwardly, most people know what that is. Second, meaning. That your life has a purpose, that you add value, that you contribute, that you make a difference, and that gives your life a sense of significance. If you've ever seen someone lose a child to some kind of a disease, often they will become a fighter to set up a new research program or something to deal with that disease, to make their life meaningful. The work of the late Christopher Reeve used to be Superman in the films. He's like a superhero to perhaps thousands, if not millions of people, because of what he has done since his terrible accident. Well, what happened? His life had meaning. His wife was very involved as his partner in helping to fulfill that meaning, in helping to advance medical science, in dealing with the kind of issues that he had to deal with. Meaning. Third, voice. So that what we've been talking about, the internal unity between body, mind, heart, and spirit, talents, passion, need, and conscience, overlapping, where the nexus is the source of one's voice. Those 3 things, integrity, meaning, and voice. Okay, now those, I suggest, are the basic elements of how the pebble starts inside out. It's a process. It takes patience. I often use as a metaphor, because people can relate to it, sports. Because they know that if you're up against world-class competition, like Olympic competition, there is no quick fix there. It's the law of the farm. It's the law of the harvest. You have to pay the price. If you don't have the muscle development, no way can you do the skill development. And if you don't have the skill development, no way can you do the team development and the building of a system which sustains that kind of team development. These things come in a progressive order. It's the same thing in the development of these capacities. It's following the principles of the power of choice that little by little, that people become great. They become capable of making great contributions, of making a great difference, of raising a great family, of achieving a level of personal greatness, not for the notoriety. It's not what other people say. It's what they have achieved in their character. It's what I call primary greatness rather than secondary greatness. Secondary greatness would be more where a person has reputation and notoriety and success and wealth, but primary greatness is they have it in their character. Whether they have secondary greatness or not. Now, some have both. But oftentimes you have to find a person like a Gandhi who never had any formal authority, but had primary greatness because he had such moral authority that he became the founder of the 2nd largest country in the world and the largest democracy in the world, 1 billion people, India. Or a Nelson Mandela who developed his moral authority in prison because of his resistance to the apartheid era. He developed to such a point that when the new South Africa was formed with the new constitution, he received the formal authority as being the new president of that country. And George Washington, the founder of the United States, in a sense, the indispensable person whose character helped these brilliant minds work together, and who did some things in the Revolutionary War through his profound courage and his integrity and his resolve that enabled the victory to take place there. He had both moral and formal authority. In fact, he was happy he didn't have a son, because the divine right of kings paradigm has so perpetuated the thinking of people that they kind of wanted him to stay on. They wanted his heir to stay on. They actually wanted him to become a king, but he knew better. He knew it had to be institutionalized. The principles had to be put into a constitution so that we could sustain the major traumas to our national life, like Vietnam and the Civil War and Watergate and scandals and other things, that we can ride through them because of the principles that are built into this Constitution. We have just discussed the development of these four great capacities, these intelligences of our natures, based on our power of choice to follow principles. Now I'd like to suggest, using the same simple paradigm of body, mind, heart, and spirit, a way of thinking of what the highest manifestation of these intelligences, these capacities, are. Different words could be used, but I suggest these words as being appropriate. For the mind, vision. For the body, discipline. For the heart, passion. For the spirit, conscience. Vision, discipline, passion, conscience. And I further believe that when conscience governs vision, discipline, and passion, you get a Gandhi. When ego governs vision, discipline, and passion, you get a Hitler. Both were visionaries. Both were very disciplined and passionate and charismatic. But one was humble. One had a cause toward other people in liberating people from being controlled and occupied, to become independent, to find their own voice, to have a country find its own voice. In fact, you think about the people you admire the most, the people that have influenced you over the long haul. Think about the defining moments of your life. Think about those you admire enormously and see if they are not people of vision. That is a sense of what's possible, a sense of the future, and also a vision of other people's potential. In spite of what you may see in their behavior, you see deeper their potential. You see the potential in this match, the power that it really contains. If they're not people of discipline, people that were willing to pay the price, people that worked hard, that had a work ethic and a learning ethic, people that were resourceful, people that were creative in coming up ways to accomplish that vision. See if they were not people who had passion, who were fired up, who were excited, who persisted, who stayed with it, who were steadfast, who had enthusiasm, and also people that were driven by conscience. That is, they were principle-centered. They were people that were kind, respectful toward people. They were people that told the truth. They were people who kept their promises. They did not badmouth people behind their back. They were people that were whole. They weren't perfect. And because they weren't perfect, they acknowledged that. They had humility. They would learn to apologize. You could push back on them. They were open. They were influenceable. They were people of conscience.
People of conscience. A couple jewels I picked up. I don't know what you got. But body, mind, heart, and spirit. Mind, vision. Body, discipline. Heart, passion. spirit, conscience. And what did he say? When the conscience or spirit is behind, oh man, I should have wrote that down too. It was about what drives you when the passion is driven by your conscience. Oof, deep. You getting a Gandhi on one end and you getting Hitler on the other. That's whoa. You know what I mean? But wow, to develop yourself in that way: mind, vision, body, discipline, heart, passion, spirit, conscience. Dig in, folks. And another jewel I got: be willing to understand before being understood. How much would that revolutionize your ability to communicate with people and to hopefully walk away with a win-win situation like he was speaking about earlier? You know, a lot of the times if we're so consumed with trying to get our point across and not necessarily really trying to understand someone else's point of view, to dig into that aspect of compassion, then it can put a monkey wrench in your ability to just connect and communicate. But if you're willing to understand before being understood, wow, the possibilities open for great communication. That was the teachings of Mr. Stephen R. Covey, The 8th Habit. Yeah. He's the author of the best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I haven't even listened to the entirety of that recording. I'm still getting through it, but I decided to share those 2 little tidbits for you tonight. When we come back off of the break, we're going to be listening to another one of my mentors that I've yet to meet, but I anticipate that we will very soon. Mr. Anthony Robbins is going to help us to awaken the giant within when we come back. You've been listening to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett, and we'll be right back.
Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new, but there is joy in my house.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
a reality show where nothing is left unsaid,
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Julie Orlov, inviting you to join us every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our all-new show, Pathways to Love. Join us as we talk about love and relationships and how you can create the relationships you desire. So don't forget to tune in to Pathways to Love every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
People hate to hear bad news and good news too. Usually when it's not for them, it's about you. Ain't that messed up? Boy, this world's a trip. Either they keeping you down or they pulling you down. Clip your wings so you can tail spin and hit the ground. We all here together on this spinning rock, trying to make some sense of this life we got. And I ain't met a man yet that got all the answers. And I ain't been nowhere yet where they not fighting cancer. I seen a good prison system that gives second chances. What's the hate for? What's the war for? Well, ask Wall Street. It's probably why they stocks soar. I'm just a dreamer, you know, John Lennon. But what do I know? My head stays spinning. A world full of hunger where people can't make it.
Shout out to McKill for dropping this little nugget.
I'm moving and I won't look back, no. I'ma get what's for me and get where I need to be. Won't let nothing get me off track, no. Yeah, it's a part of my story. No struggle, no glory.
No struggle, no glory. I'm not trying to promote struggle, because you don't necessarily have to struggle. You have a divine birthright to all these wonderful things, but you do have to have discipline. You got to have focus. You got to have vision. And that's where the hard work comes in for some people. Holding the vision. Doing what it takes to stay disciplined enough to allow the manifestation to happen in your world. That's what it is. Because a lot of times we'll be like, oh, you didn't work hard enough. No, you don't necessarily have to kill yourself to get to your goal. You just got to hold the vision, and you got to do what it takes to get to it. You got to, plan, get clear about what you want, then take action until you get there. And then there are several ways that you can do that. But that's the work. I love this song. Play that. Hey.
Won't let nothing get me off track, no. Yeah, it's a part of my story. No struggle, no glory.
Yes, indeed. It is such a fantastic opportunity to give back to the people's children. Champion, they are stars in the making. Heroes of tomorrow, future rearranging. No holds barred, got life in a chokehold. Blasted through walls, leaping over all obstacles. Green like gold, negative to rear view. Matter of fact, thanks for letting me share rhythm with you. For the chance to experience something genuine. Full count, knife in and grand slam the last pitch. Fireworks, crowd cheers, we all yell victory. Reflecting in the mirror says no one's better than me. That's the attitude that you must have. Any negativity, leave it in the past. Direction in front of you should always be perfection. Right. Stay humble at all times and thankful for the blessings.
Thank you for the blessings. Won't look what? I'ma get what's for me and get where I need to be. You better sing it. Won't let nothing get me off track.
No struggle.
No struggle. Hey, that's the work, folks. The discipline to stay focused and to take consistent and persistent action towards your goal until it is achieved. That's it. Now, if you need ways to figure out how to make a plan, I can help you with that. Just go back a few shows. But there's also something that I picked up from another wonderful, wonderful teacher, Earl Nightingale. Ooh, if you want a little inspiration, always check in with Earl Nightingale. But he has this, they call it the $25,000 challenge, where you do 6 things. You choose 6 things that are most important to you to get done right now, and then you number them in order of importance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you do tomorrow? You start on number 1, and you work on number 1 every day until it's complete. And then you work on number 2. And you work on number 2 every day until it's complete. And this is how you can eliminate procrastination, and you can also finish what you start. How about that? Okay, so we're going to be checking in with another prolific teacher when it comes to motivation and manifestation. Mr. Anthony Robbins is going to be talking to us about awakening the giant within. Enjoy.
Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Helen Keller. I am not discouraged because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. Thomas Edison. Deep within man dwell those slumbering powers, powers that would astonish him, that he never dreamed of possessing, forces that would revolutionize his life if aroused and put into action. Orison Swett Marden.
Hi, this is Anthony Robbins. I want to take a moment before we get started just to thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to share with you the strategies and techniques that have positively shaped my life. I really respect you as the kind of person who really wants to change the quality of your life, and you're committed to do something about it. I really believe that we all have dreams. We all want to believe deep down in our souls that we have a special gift, that we can make a difference, that we can somehow touch other people in a special way, and that we can make the world a better place. I think at one time in our lives, we all had a vision for the quality of life that we desire and that we deserve. Yet for most people, those dreams have become so shrouded in the frustrations and the routines of daily life that they no longer even make an effort to accomplish them. For far too many, the dream is dissipated, and with it, so is the will to shape our destinies. Many of us have lost the sense of certainty that creates the winner's edge. My life's quest, I have to tell you, has been really to restore that dream and to make it real, and to get each of us to remember and use the unlimited power that lies sleeping within us all. This tape will begin to introduce you to those principles, and I can promise you if you listen to it and you'll apply it, together we can start making measurable progress.
Welcome to Awaken the Giant Within with Anthony Robbins. You're about to learn techniques that can help you create, live, and enjoy the life you've always dreamed of. In this program, you're going to learn a series of simple and specific strategies for addressing the cause of any challenge in your life and changing it with the least amount of effort. You're going to learn how to destroy the blocks and break down the walls that have been holding you back. You're going to learn the incredible power of decisions, belief systems, and associations, and how you can begin to use these powers to get what you really want, starting right now. Most of all, you'll learn what Anthony Robbins has taught thousands of people who've used these techniques to awaken the giant within, that you have the power to understand how your mind, your body, and your emotions work, and because of this, you can control your own destiny. Know who you are, know what you want, and know how to get it, starting now.
I know I'll never forget the day that it really hit me that I was truly living my dream. I was flying my jet helicopter from a business meeting in Los Angeles, traveling to Orange County on the way to one of my seminars. And as I flew over the city of Glendale, California, I suddenly recognized a large building. And I stopped the helicopter and hovered above it, which is kind of a fun thing to do in a helicopter you can't do in a plane. And as I looked down, I realized this is the building that I'd worked in as a janitor a mere 12 years ago. In those days, I've been concerned about whether my 1960 Volkswagen would hang together for the 30-minute trip to work. My life had been focused on how am I going to survive. I'd felt alone and I felt fearful. But that day, as I hovered there in the sky, I thought, what a difference a decade can make. I did have a dream back then, but at the time it seemed like it would never be realized. Today, though, I've really come to believe that all my past failures, all my frustrations were actually just laying the foundation for the understandings that have created the new level of living I now enjoy. As I continued my flight south along the coastal route, I spotted dolphins playing with the surfers in the waves below. It's a special sight that my wife Becky and I treasure as one of life's special gifts. Finally, we reached Irvine, California, and as I began to look below, I was a little disturbed when I saw that the off-ramp to my seminar was jammed with bumper-to-bumper traffic for more than a mile. I thought to myself, boy, I hope whatever else is going on tonight gets started soon so that the people coming to my seminar can arrive on time. But as I started to descend down to the helipad, I began to see a brand new picture. Thousands of people being held back by security just where I was about to land. Suddenly, I began to grasp the reality. The traffic jam had been caused by people coming to my event. Although we'd expected only 2,000 people, I was facing a crowd over 7,000 in an auditorium that would only hold 5,000. When I walked into the arena from the landing pad, I was surrounded by hundreds of people who wanted to give me a hug or tell me how my work had positively impacted their lives. The stories they shared with me were absolutely incredible. I was so touched by the emotions in the room that I got choked up. And after I was introduced, at first I couldn't even speak. And as I looked out on the audience, I saw 5,000 smiling, cheering, loving faces. And in that moment, I realized I am living my dream. What a feeling to know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I have information and strategies and philosophies and skills that could truly assist any one of these people in empowering themselves to make the changes they desire most. A flood of images and emotions started to flow over me. I began to remember an experience I had only a few years before, sitting there in my 400 square foot bachelor apartment in Venice, California, all alone and crying. I remember listening to the lyrics of a Neil Diamond song. I am, I said, to no one there, and no one heard it all, not even the chair. I am, I cried, I am, said I, and I am lost, and I can't even say why, leaving me lonely still. I remember feeling like my life didn't even matter, as if the events of the world were controlling me. I also remember the moment my life changed, the moment I finally said, I've had it. I know I'm much more than I'm demonstrating, mentally, emotionally, physically. I'm more than what my life is showing right now. I made a decision in that moment which was to alter my life forever. I decided to change virtually every aspect of my life. I decided I would never again settle for less than I could be. Who would have guessed that this decision would bring me to such an incredible moment now? I mean, how could a young kid like me with nothing but a high school education have created such dramatic changes? My answer is simple. I learned to harness the principle I now call concentration of power. Most people have no idea of the giant capacity we can instantly command when we focus all of our resources on mastering a single area of our lives. Controlled focus is like a laser beam that we can use to break through anything that seems to be stopping us. I'm going to make a couple of assertions that you may find a bit bizarre, maybe even unbelievable. And the first one is, I believe I know who you really are. I believe you and I must be kindred souls. Your desire to expand has brought you to this program, and that tells me that you're someone who wants more. No matter where you are in your life right now, I know you want more. No matter how well you're doing or how challenged you may be, deep inside of you, there's a belief that your experience of life can and will be much greater than it already is. You're destined for your own unique form of greatness, whether it's as an outstanding professional, a teacher, a business person, a mother, or a father. Most importantly, you not only believe this, but you've taken action. You've picked up this tape and now you're listening to it. I want to challenge you now to take the next step, the all-important step of actually using it. And now here's my second assertion. If you're willing to accept the challenge and really use the specific technologies you're learning here, you will achieve your dreams. This program, by the way, concludes with a specific plan that'll help you to create your own magnificent obsession, your own vision of what it would take for you to have a fulfilling future, a future in which you make a significant contribution to the world and vastly increase the quality of your life in the process, a future where you provide a rich environment for yourself and your family, and literally make your dreams real. These are not exaggerated claims. They're achievable goals. I can tell you my own magnificent obsession began with some simple questions. How can I take immediate control of my life? What can I do today that can really make a difference, that can help me and others to shape our destinies? How can I expand, learn, and grow, and share that knowledge with others in a meaningful and an enjoyable way? You see, I truly believe that we all have a sleeping giant within us. Each of us has a talent, a gift, our own bit of genius just waiting to be tapped. And I decided many years ago the most important way I could spend my life would be to invest it in something that would outlast it. I decided that somehow I must contribute in some way that would live on long after I was gone. Today, I have the incredible privilege of sharing my ideas and feelings with literally millions of people through my books and my tapes and television shows. And I've personally now worked with over 250,000 people in the last few years alone. I've assisted members of Congress, CEOs, presidents of companies and countries, managers and mothers, salespeople, accountants, lawyers, doctors, psychiatrists, counselors, professional athletes. I've worked with phobics, the clinically depressed, people with multiple personalities, and those who thought they had no personality. But now I have the unique good fortune of sharing the best of what I've learned with you. And for that opportunity, I'm truly excited and grateful. And you know something? Through all the challenges that I've been through personally and all the people that I've met, I've continued to recognize the power that individuals have to change virtually anything and everything in their lives in an instant. I've learned that the resources we need to turn our dreams into reality are within us, merely waiting for the day when we decide to wake up and claim our birthright. Let these words you're hearing now be a wake-up call. Let this be your challenge to tap your God-given power to live life to the fullest. And I want you to know that I enter into this relationship with you with great respect. I may not be meeting you face-to-face right now, but my words are reaching you, and I'm deeply appreciative of the opportunity to join you in this journey of discovery and to really participate with you in the actualization of your deepest and truest potential. Life is a gift, and it offers each of us the privilege, the opportunity, and the responsibility to give something back by becoming more. Let's begin our journey right now by exploring decisions, the pathway to power.
Man is born to live and not to prepare to live. Boris Pasternak. Man is not the creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of men. Benjamin Disraeli. It is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Anthony Robbins.
In my first book, Unlimited Power, I made it abundantly clear that the most powerful way to shape our lives is to get ourselves to take action. The difference in the results that people produce comes down to what they've done differently from others in the same situation. Different actions produce different results. Why? Because any action is a cause set in motion, and its effect builds on past effects to move us in a definitive direction. And of course, every direction leads to an ultimate destination, or what we call our destiny. So if we want to really direct our lives, we must first take control of our consistent actions. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. So here's the key, the most important question. What precedes all our actions? What determines what actions we take and therefore who we become and what our ultimate destination is in life? What is the father of all action? The answer to all these questions is one word: decisions. Everything that happens in your life, both what you're thrilled with and what you're challenged by, began with a decision. I truly believe that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. The decisions that you're making right now, as you listen to me, the ones you're making every day, will shape how you feel not only today, but how you're going to feel in the weeks, the months, and the years to come. See, it's true that you and I both know that there are people who are born with advantages. I don't deny that. People have had genetic advantages, environmental advantages, family advantages, or relationship advantages. Yet you and I also know that we constantly meet, read, and hear about people who, against all odds, have exploded beyond the limitations of their conditions by making new decisions about what to do with their lives. They've become living examples of the unlimited power of the human spirit. You see, if we decide to, you and I can make our lives one of those inspiring examples. How? Simply by making decisions today about how we're going to live in the years to come. The fact is, if you don't make decisions about how you're going to live, then you've already made a decision, haven't you? You've made a decision to be directed by the environment instead of shaping your own destiny. My whole life changed in one day, the day that I determined not just what I'd like to have in my life or what I wanted to become, but when I decided who and what I was committed to having and being in my life. That's a simple distinction, but it's a critical one. See, I decided I was committed to certain courses of action. When I made that commitment to those decisions, they became real and powerful. If I'd merely decided that I'd like to make a difference in the world or I'd like to create a better life for myself, then I'd simply been stating a preference. That's like saying I'm interested in making more money as long as I don't have to do anything. That's not power. That's a weak prayer, and it's made without even the faith to launch it. For your decisions to really make a difference in your life, it's absolutely imperative to decide what results you're committed to. And it's equally critical to decide what kind of person you're committed to becoming. So you have to set standards for what you consider to be acceptable behavior for yourself. And you got to decide what should you expect from those you care about. If you don't set a baseline standard for what you'll accept in your life, then you'll find it's all too easy to slip into behaviors and attitudes or even a quality of life that's far below what you deserve. You need to set and live by these standards no matter what happens, even if everything goes wrong, even if it rains on your parade, even if the stock market crashes, even if your present lover leaves you, even if no one gives you the support you need, you still must stay committed to your decision, the decision that you'll live your life at the highest level. Does this raise some doubts in your mind? Do you wonder, how am I going to be able to define these standards for myself? If so, stay with me. Together we'll define and create the future you really want. We're going to make this commitment something that's real, that's compelling, and that'll lead you to the fulfillment of your dreams. But you know what? Most people don't make these kinds of committed decisions. Instead of commitments, they make excuses. And you and I don't want to fall into this trap. They say the reason they haven't achieved their goals is because of the way their parents treated them. They're from a dysfunctional family. Tell me a functional family. I'll tell you what, I hear this all the time. Or they had a lack of opportunities or a lack of education or because they were too young or too old. But remember something, these are all conditions. And once again, it's not the conditions of your life that will determine your destiny, it's your decisions. Using the power of decision gives you the capacity to get past any excuses and to finally change any and every part of your life in an instant. It can change your relationships, your working environment, your level of physical fitness, your income, your emotional states. And the most exciting thing about this amazing force, this power of decision, is that you already possess it. This is a power that you don't have to go out and pursue. This is a power that's not something that's reserved for a select few people with the right credentials or money or family background. It's available to anyone and to everyone. In this very next moment, you could use this mighty force that lies waiting within you. You simply have to get up the courage to claim it. Consider one fiercely proud individual, a young woman named Rosa Parks, who one day back in 1955 stepped onto a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, and she refused to give up her seat to a white person as she was legally required to do. Her one quiet act of civil disobedience sparked a firestorm of controversy and became a symbol for generations to follow. Rosa Parks had made a committed decision. She held herself to a higher standard, and you and I can do the same. Will today be the day you finally decide that who you are as a person is much more than what you've been demonstrating? Will today be the day you decide once and for all to make your life consistent with the quality of your spirit by proclaiming, this is who I am, this is what my life is about, and this is what I'm going to do. Nothing will stop me from achieving my destiny. I will not be denied.
Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We will either find a way or make one. Hannibal.
If making decisions is so simple and powerful, then why don't just most people take Nike's advice and just do it? I think one reason is because most of us don't really recognize what it even means to make a real decision. We don't realize the force of change that a congruent and committed decision creates. Part of the problem is that for so long, most of us have used the term decision so loosely that it's come to describe something like a wish list. Instead of making decisions, we keep stating preferences. I'd like to quit smoking. I think I'd like to lose some weight. While making a true decision means cutting off any other possibility. In fact, the word decision comes from the Latin root de, which means from, and caedere, which means to cut. Making a true decision means committing to achieving a result and cutting yourself off from any other possibility. When you truly decide that you'll never smoke cigarettes again, that's it. It's over. You no longer even consider the possibility of smoking. After making a true decision, even a tough one, most of us feel a tremendous amount of relief. We've finally gotten off the fence, and we all know how great it feels to have a clear, unquestioned objective. See, this kind of clarity gives you power. With clarity, you can produce the results that you really want for your life. The challenge for most of us is that we haven't made a decision in so long, we've forgotten what it feels like. We've got flabby decision-making muscles. So how do you strengthen those muscles? Give them a workout. The way to make better decisions is to make more of them. So use those muscles, then make sure you learn from each decision you make, including the ones that don't seem to work out in the short term. Recall again what Edison said, "I am not discouraged because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward." Realize that decision making, like any skill you focus on improving, gets better the more often you do it. And there are 3 decisions in particular that you've got to pay attention to because they shape every moment of your life. They truly control your destiny. Most of us make these decisions by default. That is, we leave them up to circumstances. But you can take control of these 3 decisions starting this moment. And by doing so, you literally begin to sculpt your experience and shape it the way you desire it. The 3 decisions that control our destiny are, number 1, your decisions about what to focus on in each moment that you're alive. Each moment you're making a decision about what to pay attention to. That decision about focus is shaping how you think, how you feel, and what you do. Second question is, what things mean to you? No matter what's happening around you, you have to determine, what does this mean? Is this good or bad? Does this affect my future, my present, my past? And of course, the most important question, number 3, what should I do now? This decision about what to do with any situation that you come across is clearly going to shape your actions and therefore your ultimate destiny. You see, it's not what's happening to you right now or what's happened to you in your past that determines who you become. Rather, it's your decisions about what to focus on, what things mean to you, and what you're going to do about them that'll determine your ultimate destiny. Know that if anyone is enjoying greater success than you are in any area, it's because they're making these 3 decisions differently from you in some way. And when we don't make these decisions consciously, when we don't take control of them ourselves, we pay a major price. In fact, most people live by what I call the Niagara syndrome. I mean, think of life as a river. Many people just jump in the river of life without ever really deciding where they want to end up. So they quickly get caught up in the current events, current fears, current challenges. And when they come to those forks in the river, they don't consciously decide where they want to go. They just, quote, go with the flow of the river. And they become part of the mass of people who are directed by the environment instead of by their own values. As a result, they feel out of control. Why? Because their decisions about what to focus on, what things mean, and what to do are being unconsciously directed by the environment. And they remain in this unconscious state until one day the sound of the raging water wakes them up, and they discover that they're 5 feet from Niagara Falls in a boat with no oars. At this point, they say, oh, shoot. But by then, it's too late. They're going to take a fall. And this, quote, fall may take the form of a financial setback, or maybe the failure of a relationship or a health problem. But whatever it may be, understand this. It's likely that whatever challenges you have in your life presently, they could have been avoided by some better decisions upstream. Now, how do we turn things around if we're caught up in the momentum of a raging river? Either make a decision to put both oars in the water and start rowing like crazy in a new direction, or decide to plan ahead. Set a course for where you really want to go and have a plan or a map so that you can make quality decisions along the way. In Unlimited Power, I outlined a 4-step process for achieving success. By applying this process to the actions you take in response to a decision, you'll make the decision a true commitment that'll transform your life. The 4 steps are very simple. They are: 1, clearly decide what you want. What is it that you're absolutely committed to achieving? 2, take action. Take massive action to make it happen. 3, notice what's working and what's not working. And finally, 4, when things aren't working, change your approach continually until it does work and you achieve what you truly want. I call these 4 steps the ultimate success formula. This formula is both a prescription for and a description of success. It's a prescription because by following it with truly committed decisions, you can achieve success in virtually any endeavor. And it's a description because it describes the path to success. You see, anyone can succeed on a large scale if they've taken these 4 steps. Like all companies, no matter how large, Honda Corporation began with one man making a decision and following his passionate desire until he produced the result. In 1938, while he was still in school, Mr. Honda took everything he owned and he invested it in a little workshop where he began to develop his concept of a special piston ring. He wanted to sell his work to Toyota Corporation, so he labored day and night, up to his elbows in grease, sleeping in his machine shop, always believing he could produce the result. In fact, he even pawned his wife's jewelry to stay in business. But when he finally completed the piston rings and he presented them to Toyota, he was told they didn't meet Toyota standards. He was sent back to school for 2 years, where he heard the incredible laughter of his instructors and fellow students as they talked about how absurd his designs were. But rather than focusing on the pain of the experience, he decided to continue to focus on his goal. Finally, after 2 more years, Toyota gave Mr. Honda the contract he dreamed of. His passion and his belief had paid off because he'd known what he wanted. He'd taken action. He'd noticed what was working and what wasn't working, and he kept changing his approach until he finally got what he wanted. But then a new problem arose. The Japanese government was gearing up for war, and they refused to give him the concrete that was necessary to build his factory. Did he quit here? Of course not. Did he focus on how unfair this was? No, that wouldn't have made it better. Did it mean to him that his dream had died? Absolutely not. Again, he decided to utilize the experience and develop another strategy. He and his team invented a process for creating their own concrete, and then they built their own factory. During the war, the factory was bombed twice. Even after going through all of this, it destroyed major portions of his manufacturing facility. What was Honda's response? He immediately rallied his teams, brought them outside, and got them to pick up the extra gasoline cans that the U.S. fighters had discarded. He called them, quote, gifts from President Truman, because they provided him with the raw materials he needed for his manufacturing process, materials that were unavailable at that time in Japan. Finally, after surviving all this, an earthquake leveled his factory. Honda finally had to sell his piston operation to Toyota. Now, here's a man who clearly made strong decisions to succeed, just like we talk about. He had a passion and a belief in what he was doing. He had a great strategy. He took massive action. He kept changing his approach, but still, he'd not produced the results that he was committed to. Yet, you know what? Anyone else would have quit, but not Honda. He persevered. After the war, a tremendous gasoline shortage hit Japan, and Honda couldn't even drive his car to get food for his family. So finally, in desperation, he attached a small motor to his bicycle. He had a way to get around. Well, the next thing he knew, his neighbors were asking him if they'd make one of those, quote, motorized bikes, end quote, for them. One after another, they jumped on the bandwagon until he ran out of motors. He decided to build a plant that could manufacture motors for his new invention, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough capital. As before, he made the decision to find a way no matter what. His solution was to appeal to the 18,000 bicycle shop owners in Japan by writing them each a personal letter. He told them how they could play a role in revitalizing Japan through the mobility that his invention could provide, and he convinced 5,000 of them to advance the capital he needed. Still, his motorbike sold to only the most hardcore bicycle fans because it was too big and bulky. So he made one final adjustment. He created a much lighter, scaled-down version of his motorbike, which he christened the Super Cub, and it became a, quote, overnight success, earning him the Emperor's Award. Later, he began to export his motorbikes to the baby boomers of Europe and the United States, and then he followed up in the 70s with the cars that have now become so popular. Today, Honda Corporation employs more than 100,000 people, both in the United States and Japan, and it's considered one of the biggest car-making empires in Japan, outselling all but Toyota in the United States. It succeeds because one man understood the power of a truly committed decision that is acted upon no matter what the conditions on a continuous basis. So to sum it up, let me give you 6 quick keys to help you harness the power of decision, the power that shapes your experience of life every moment that you live it. First, remember the true power of making decisions. It's a tool, and you can use it in any moment to change your entire life. The minute you make a new decision, you set in motion a new cause, effect, direction, and destination for your life. Remember also that a real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken new action. If there's no new action, you haven't really decided. Second, realize the hardest step in achieving anything is making a true commitment, a true decision. Carrying out your commitments is often much easier than making the decision that leads to them. So make your decisions intelligently, but make them quickly. Don't labor forever over the decision of how or if you can do something. Just decide. Again, you know you've made a true decision when action flows from it. It becomes a cause set in motion. A critical rule that I've made for myself is to never leave the scene of a decision without first taking a specific action toward its realization. Third, make decisions often. The more decisions you make, the better you're going to get. Muscles get stronger with use, and so do your decision-making muscles. Unleash your power right now by making some decisions you've been putting off. You won't believe the energy and excitement it'll create in your life. And before you even go into your step 4, you may want to stop this tape right now and make a decision, one that can move you in a new direction. Here's step 4. Learn from your decisions. There are going to be times when you screw up, no matter what you do. And when that inevitable happens, instead of beating yourself into the ground, learn something. Ask yourself, what's good about this? Instead of focusing on the short-term setback, choose instead to learn the lessons that can save you time, money, or pain, and that'll give you the ability to succeed in the future. Step 5, stay committed to your decisions, but stay flexible in your approach. Now, that may sound like a paradox, but it's not. Once you've decided who you want to be as a person, for example, don't get stuck on the means to achieving it. It's the result you're after. Too often, in deciding what they want for their lives, people pick the best way they know at the time, but then they don't stay open to alternate routes. Don't become rigid in your approach. Cultivate the art of flexibility. 6th, enjoy making decisions. In any moment, a decision you make can change the course of your life forever. The very next person you stand behind in line or sit next to on an airplane, the very next phone call you make, the next movie you see, or book you read, or maybe even the tape you listen to, that could be the one, the single thing that causes the floodgates to open and all the things that you've been waiting for suddenly fall into place. Remember, a truly committed decision is the force that changes your life. Once you've absorbed that truth, when you decide that your life will ultimately be shaped by your decisions, then in that moment, your life will change forever. In that moment, you'll be empowered to take control of the force that shapes your life.
Yes. Anthony Robbins, my mentor I haven't met yet. That's some good stuff there. Are you prepared to make a decision tonight? Yes? Shock's in the studio. He's yes. And you know what they say? You know what Anthony says? Mr. Tony Robbins, he says, do not leave the sight of a goal without doing something towards its accomplishment. If you make a decision tonight, what are you willing to do tonight towards its accomplishment? Write it down to make it real? Send an email to somebody you need to communicate with? Pick up the phone and make a phone call? Do the push-ups you know you should have did earlier today? What are you willing to do to accomplish your goal? You can do something right now. I don't care what you chose to do. There is something that you can do, even if it's as simple as writing it down, because so many people do not write things down, and so it becomes a fleeting thought. But when you write it down and you have something to come back to, it makes it more real. It makes it more tangible. It reminds you of where you're going, because we got plenty of distractions. Are you watching a lot of reality TV? You become what you think about. You become what you think about. So if there's something you'd like to achieve, put it on your mind. Shoot, that sounds like I need to put this in beat with James. I said, put it on your mind. Right on time. What you saying now? Huh? Tony said, make a decision. What you plan on doing tonight? What you gonna do to make it happen? It's all up to you to make it happen. Come on. Huh? What you missing? What you want? What you need? What you need in your life? What are you missing in your life? You have the power to change the course of where you are going right now. Your decisions define your destiny. Make some new choices. Come on, man. We're talking about manifesting our destiny tonight. Hey! Tell him, James. What? Brought a little, what's his name? What? Come on, Shock. You're supposed to tell me who I'm doing. What? Woo! Come on, this perspective's corner in the joint. We're shifting perspectives. We're making changes. Richard, you did good on the music tonight. I mean, you know, it's kind of moving me. You know, it's a little stirring in my spirit. I got the feeling. Yeah. What? Manifest. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the information. Just as a reminder who you listened to tonight in case you want to go pick them up for yourself. The first teacher, Mr. Stephen R. Covey, The 8th Habit, From Effectiveness to Greatness. He's the author behind the bestseller, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And then we listened to Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, how to take immediate control of your mental, emotional, physical, and financial destiny. All the best to you with your new choices. The time is now. You've been listening to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. I will see you back here next week. All the best.
Wanna be with me. Your actions show that your words don't mean a thing. I feel the pain, but I done cried all these tears, and now I'm all alone. If this is for the birds, then that's what love's about. Look me in the eyes, telling me lies. I thought that I can't take no more. Thought my heart's unbreakable. Pieces to my heart. My heart. Put it together to brand new start. Yeah, yeah. Been through it all, learning through the pain. And through it all, my heart remains unbreakable. My heart's unbreakable. It's unbreakable. Put your hands to my chest, rip my heart right out my soul. Oh, I'm unbreakable. Let's keep it cool. Around my friends, you make me look like a fool. Running from the truth is catching up to you. You broke my love to pieces with all the games you played. You need to act your age. You sit and smile in my face and say you love me. When you're out with your boys, you disrespect me. Look me in the eyes, you're telling me lies. I thought that I can't take no more. Thought my heart's unbreakable. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Put it together. Yeah, yeah. Been through it all, learning through the pain. Been through it all. My heart remains unbreakable. Unbreakable. Yeah. Unbreakable. My heart is unbreakable. Put your hands to my chest, rip my heart right out my soul. I don't have a glass heart, I'm unbreakable. Now I'm done, I'm moving on. Me minus you, it equals strong. Baby, I won't shed a tear. I stood around all these years. See, I made it through the pain. No other woman will treat you the same. What goes up comes down. What goes around comes back around. You play me like a fool, but it's coming back to you. Put it together and make a brand new start. Been through it all, learning through the pain. Learning through my pain. My heart remains unbreakable. Unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
And cameras on. Yes, I'm giving them what they want, but no, I will not ever conform. Cause I'm outside of the norm, still with a spectacular form. From the blood, sweat, and the tears shed every time I perform. And whenever you doing your thing, yep, people will hate on it usually. But I'm just as human as you. I just look good while doing it. And they telling me I have so much dough, I won't know what to do with it. Well, until then, I'ma continue maneuvering because I am the champion. What a spectacular athlete. I am the champion. If I do say so myself. Light, camera, action. Seriously. Whenever I play, now say we are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. Now say we are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. I look in the mirror and laugh like, look at what I've become. Everyone calls me Bob, but I'm still my mother's son. And I'm low-key when I'm out now. Hell no, fame ain't fun. But I stay live like NBA on your PlayStation. And I entertain cause I'm in the game. It's easy to see I ain't in the fame. Cause I ain't. And the critics say I imitate, but I really can't. Please allow me to demonstrate. No matter what they say, I stay charged up like a AAA. Really, man? Really, man. I am the champion. I wake up in pitch excellence. I am the champion. All day. Lights, camera, action. Please hold your applause. Whenever I play, I'm kind of a big deal. Now say we are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. Now say we are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions. We are the champions.
Radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. Tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Play.